Mike, I believe there's a famous book that opens with the line, "Call me Ishmael," and this isn't that. But Andrew McCabe has been somewhat of a white whale for the basically 2+ years that I've known you. How are you tonight, Mike?
Good, my man. We are on YouTube tonight, my triumphant return to YouTube, and I could hear the haters crawling out from under their rocks as we speak.
Let them crawl. It's okay. But it's
hear the screeching.
It's important that we do these YouTube previews every now and again to remind people about the subscriber-only shows that you and I have been doing on patreon.com/truepundit and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We really can't do this kind of independent news where we're exposing the deep state and all of these criminals that billionaires and other interests want to funnel money to. They seem to have a lockup on the mainstream news. So you and I really rely on the generous sponsorship of subscribers who go to patreon.com/truepundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We've actually prepared a really special presentation for our sponsors tonight. You and I are going to do a little bit of a lead-in here, explain to people what happened, and then viewers who are sponsors of either of those channels will be able to view the full video that we shot this past Saturday in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in pursuit of Andrew McCabe.
Yeah, we're going to have that after this. That's going to be on Patreon. This is also going out live on Patreon, so subscribers shouldn't get too confused. But we can't just roll the video without a little intro because it's so insane. This guy is basically, I've tracked all kind of crews and all kind of criminals, and I've worked in an official capacity doing it. I've worked in unofficial capacities doing it. I've worked in journalism doing it, and it has to be hundreds of people. Okay, this guy McCabe is probably the biggest coward I've ever tracked, and the biggest gutless administrative coward. He's a poser. He thinks that he's like some type of a secret agent. He's just a coward. He clawed his way up, backstabbed his way, sold people down the river, ruined people's lives that he worked with. We're not even talking about probably the cases that he rigged along the way, and those types of people who got sold down the river as well. And then when it comes time to answer questions for it, he hides like a little, you know what, I'm trying to keep it G-rated on YouTube. The next thing you know, he gets thrown off or something. But I think everybody knows what I'm alluding to. He hides like a little beep. I'm actually beeping my own stuff out now, so you don't have to. But and this sham of a speech that he gave where he earned, they were talking about $75,000. I don't know if he made that. We asked these people you'll see on the video outright, and they were like, "Oh, we don't know what he made." It's like, come on, really? First of all, it's Lancaster, okay? This is like a place where I started out at, and 20, 30 years ago in journalism.
Right.
And if I was a 25-year-old cement head, they would have been able to get away with a lot of this stuff. But it's like, come on, who do you think you're talking to, man? This is crazy. This was a sham. This was a way to put money in his pocket. And I know he's going to watch this because he's a petty guy. And my sources inside these places say, yeah, everybody's watching and they like what you're doing against McCabe. And, he's watching too because he's literally crazy. He is crazy too. That's why, no, he really is. He's a super hothead, and he wouldn't want us to get a piece of him any way we could and ask him questions because he probably would snap. And he knows that. So what unfolds is this crazy, I call it like a cat and mouse game on Saturday, but I think it's really more apropos to call it a cat and a rat game. Yeah. We're the cats, he's the rat. And you see that this guy is just a gutless wimp. And I wonder, He ran the FBI. This guy is supposed to have some integrity. It's fidelity, bravery, integrity. There's no bravery. There's no integrity. This guy is a milquetoast.
Yeah.
He can't stand up for himself. How do you expect him to stand up for the Constitution? I hope it's as frustrating for people to watch it as it was for me to be there and to try to. We just wanted to ask him a question. I had one question to ask him. That's it. And we talk about that in the video, but this turned into like a circus.
Yeah, it really was disgraceful. I mean, you know, we were there to ask legitimate questions of what he thinks about getting potentially indicted, how he can answer some of the allegations. I mean, we've heard for months from Robin Gritz, from other people, about some of the really, really bad stuff that this guy is accused of. I mean, you know, he's part of what seems to be an historic coup d'etat, a total desecration of the Constitution and the will of the people of the United States. It's carrying on today with this absurd impeachment demand from Nancy Pelosi. We've got a president who's finally standing up to the corruption of the deep state, suggesting that this billion-dollar fraud perpetrated very probably by Joe Biden and his son. I mean, there's so many red flags all over that. The notion that a president would ask another foreign leader to investigate something or participate in an investigation about something that there is so much evidence of is totally appropriate on the part of President Trump. And the fact that it results in immediately announcing that they're going to impeach him, it's as conspicuous as Andrew McCabe refusing to show up.
It's all part of the same. It's all part of the same shame. The Clinton fingerprints are all over all this. Today's news with Pelosi, and also this. There's no doubt that they're protecting this guy, McCabe, and keeping him greased up financially so he can pay his lawyers so he keeps his mouth shut. Because if he starts singing like a canary, they're all going to go down the tubes. And let me be very honest. I've dealt with stand-up guys. I've dealt with the feds on both sides of the table in the courtroom, and they do not like people who will tell them to go F themselves. McCabe is not a guy who's going to do that. He's going to rat everybody out because he is a rat. He's the definition of a rat. You're going to see this guy. He's a coward. He's a rat. Back in Philly, back in the day, the mayor Rizzo would call him a crumb creep. Right? It's kind of a funny thing, but people from Philadelphia know that Rizzo would say, "You're a crumb creep. You're a crumb creep coward." And that's what he is. And he walks around like he's the man. He's not the man. He's a chump. And I'm calling him out. And we called him out in the video. And it's good stuff. But today is a joke with this Pelosi thing. I mean, Trump's in trouble for talking about Biden making illegal money as VP. But Biden, who uses office to make millions, isn't in any trouble. And
Really?
Trump now should be impeached. And shouldn't Obama and Biden be probed? I mean, I tweeted about this. What WTF am I missing? I mean, really, this is insane. But you see that the Democratic machine, you'll see the lengths that they went to this Saturday to protect this common house criminal. This guy is like, he's. I'm gonna get too fired up, but. I used to roll with some of these guys, DEA, Auto Theft Task Force, even a couple of U.S. Marshals, right? My buddy was a big wig in the Marshals. And they say, yeah, come along with us. We're going to go look for some bad guys. And it's like a whole rigmarole. And there's a guy named Lenny DePaul. He ran fugitives down in New York. He's kind of a legend for Marshals. And this is what it felt like after a while on Saturday, like looking for a perp, looking for a guy who had not shown up for court, not shown up for a probation hearing, and then he becomes a federal fugitive. And it's like, wait a minute, this guy ran the FBI. This is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. It's a national disgrace.
It is.
And these guys don't have any problem with it. They're like, oh, okay, this is a... You can't talk to this guy. Why are they protecting this guy? It's like it's a racket. The whole thing is a racket.
Yeah.
And not only that.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, I don't want people to think that we're just railing against McCabe and saying all this hyperbolic stuff. You and I really examined this place, and this video has proven even more valuable than I thought it would be. I mean, we got to be straight about this. When we were there, I was super disappointed because I wanted that gotcha moment with Andrew McCabe, and you know, we didn't get that, but we got.
I wasn't disappointed.
You were positive about it, and you were right, because on playback,
I thought it was great.
There's so much there, and when I watched
think it's great.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I've done this so many times, and I've been part of so many weird things, whether they're covert, overt. This was definitely an overt op to say, hey, MFer, we're in your face. Are you going to come out? You going to come out and play? No, he wasn't going to come out and play. He was going to hide in mommy's little house, you know, in mommy's little basement where he was safe. And it shows you, like I told you, if people were dogging me like this, I just go outside and say, what's your problem, man? What's going on?
Right.
You want to talk about something? And I'd make the people, I would put them in a position where they felt bad about it. I'd be like, this is what you're doing on a Saturday? Really? Here, you know, take $20. Go get yourself a meal. I'll be out here in a couple hours and we'll talk. I don't want you guys hanging out on the street like a couple common hobos. You know what I mean? But these guys, and I think I was professional. You were professional, and that's the way we operate. We're not we're not going to go crazy and jump up and down and make a big spectacle of it. I think that's what they want you to do.
Yeah, they want to throw you out.
Have cuff you and stuff you in the back of a car and get you out of there in a cop car or something like that. That's not how we roll. But I think this thing was a sham. I don't think there were as many people there as they said there were.
Well, and that's the part I wanted to address. Sorry to interrupt, Mike, but I don't want people to think we're just cracking on McCabe because we don't like him. It's true that we don't appreciate a guy who's supposed to uphold the Constitution, who instead is an arch criminal, but we did gather quite a lot of intelligence while on site. I don't want to give away the farm here, but for instance, we were told that over 500 tickets were sold, but I was there from 4 o'clock until you and I were there after the event began. And I mean, people can see from this space, there was nothing approaching. I didn't even see 100 people there. I mean, this is an empty hotel lobby, literally just a few minutes before the event was about to begin, and people hadn't been let in yet.
You're absolutely right, and that's just one of the things that's disturbing about it. The other is that he basically, I think, you know, from doing a schematic of the place, basically probably snuck in through the parking garage and the kitchen. It's like a common hobo. The only thing missing was him rummaging through a dumpster looking for a fishbone. I mean, this is the kind of, like I said earlier, this is the kind of behavior you see out of people who are running from the law. And maybe he is at this point. Maybe he's not acting like somebody who thinks that he's already innocent.
Right.
He pretends to be on CNN when a cement head like Cuomo's in interviewing him. And we talk about that and how he was given misinformation last week about that based on other information. I had people from the Bureau call me when I was on my way up there saying, get in his face, man. You know, don't let him, you know, this guy is a perennial weasel and keep an eye on him, you know. And they were right. They were right. And their feeling is, and the general feeling is, the guy is a gutless coward. And we would call him a shanty Irishman, a shanty Mick, right? And I'm Irish, so I can say that. And we would say, you don't have the guts. This is the kind of guy to be like, you know, we're going to kick your ass in a street fight. And then you turn around and he's 2 blocks away. And you get like a bloody eye. You have a bloody eye and your face is swollen. And you're like, what happened to McCabe? Where's McCabe at? Oh, he took off. Right after he picked the fight, he took off. And, you know, he's out somewhere else clubbing it up. And you have an ice pack on your face. So you're headed to the hospital, get 4 or 5 stitches while he's in a dance club. Oh, I was just kidding, you know. We weren't really going to fight. You guys fought? Oh, that's weird. I mean, this guy is that kind of slippery guy, but to a much larger scale, obviously. And it's frustrating that for years he was a massive operator. And I wonder how many things he had his fingers into and all the people that he's put in positions of power in the FBI. And I think that just pondering that, possibility of what his political ideology was able to infiltrate and how large it was able to infiltrate the Bureau, that it might not be possible to reform a place like the FBI. It might be too far gone.
Yeah.
It sure seems that way. It doesn't seem like it's fixable to me.
Yeah, and it's important that people remember, Mike, this is not a joke. We wanted to ask questions of a guy who is at the center of this coup d'etat, one of the most serious criminal actions in the history of this country. This guy's been hired by CNN. He's protected by so many people around this event. And the thing that we weren't there to do him any harm. We were there carrying out a necessary role.
Like, here's the thing. There are no other journalists there. There was a cameraman there and a producer from Fox DC, but they weren't going to ask me a question. They were just there to get B-roll. Probably something happened, they'd have a camera there, which was, smart, and they have the deep pockets to do that. But when I go out somewhere, I want some answers, and I'm going out as a professional. I'm not going out as some kind of agitator. I want some freaking answers, and I'm going to get in your face if I have to, but I'll be a pro about it. You'll see that tonight. I'm not some kind of a angry guy. People would say I have an axe to grind or whatever. I'm a pro when I'm on the street, and I've been that way my whole career. The important thing here is that where was everybody else? Nowhere to be found. So,
well, the real important thing is why were such extreme measures taken to prevent us from going in there and carrying out a constitutional right?
I mean, I think people will understand what's at play, and I think we do a good job of framing that. But my point is that guys like this think that they can get away with anything, because they operated in a place where they could get away with anything because the checks and balances, they controlled the checks and balances. But he was tossed out on his butt. So you're out here now, buddy. You don't have a shield. The shield's gone. They took the shield from you. You're not even retired. You're fired. You're disgraced, right?
Absolutely. He's one of the biggest disgraces, I think, in the history of the FBI. And the thing that's so interesting, Mike, you and I were talking about this earlier after I came back from the hearing, the oral arguments hearing with the Giuffre versus Dershowitz. Lawyers and these law enforcement guys, they want to surveil and record everything they can about you, but they don't want to be recorded at all. And I experienced something really interesting during the process of editing this video over the last 2 days. When I first looked at the footage, I was really concerned that it just, we didn't have that dramatic movie type moment, but as I went through the footage and things that we recorded that I maybe didn't even notice while we were there started becoming obvious to me, like the people who were around who were looking at us and communicating with us and communicating with each other when they went inside. There seemed to be a lot of activity around that hotel and that whole entire event, and it was you and I were the only ones there, cell phone cameras, nothing at all. We tried to buy tickets, we couldn't. You've spoken to other people who tried to buy tickets for the event and couldn't. Of course, they captured my email, my information. They've been sending me emails all day and all, since I signed up for it, trying to get me to vote for Democrats. But
they're working like an intel operation. Right. They're working like an intel. They gather, they see who's coming. If you present a problem, I'm sure he was screening people and his people were screening people. And if a name rings a bell that he doesn't like, if a Robin Gritz shows up or buys a ticket, if I buy a ticket, you buy a ticket, you get flagged. And so they're selling tickets, and they told us they were sold out. But at the same time they were sold out, they had been raising prices and selling other tickets, and other people who I know tried to get in couldn't even get in. So then you send inquiries like, hey, can we get press credentials? And that turns into another sideshow that you can see in the video. And then you just say, hey, what kind of a sham is this? Just let us in to talk to people. Who are you? You guys are. It's a protection racket, right? And you see that this is much more than some speech on a Saturday night in a rural town in Pennsylvania.
With 40 people watching instead of 600.
This is a political payout. Well, they didn't want I spoke with the Fox people, and they wouldn't let the Fox people in the room to record anything because they don't want anybody to see how many people are there. Right. It's like one of these rallies that Bernie Sanders has, and there's they say it's packed, and you pull back a full frame, and there's 60 people there. You're like, wait a minute, it looked like there were 1,000 people at this place.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that there's a lot. It would be interesting to get the books on this event to see where the money came from or where the money went and that kind of stuff. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But I do agree with you. There was some countermeasure stuff going on. Who knows if the FBI was probably there helping the guy at this point? Who knows, right? It's so crooked. You don't know who to trust. He could have had 4 or 5 of his buddies come up from the Bureau, be running interference. There are some strange things going on in and around the event. And they think like we're some 20-year-old idiots who don't understand counter intel, countermeasures. It's like, come on, man. You know, I've been around. It's pretty
obvious, yeah.
But it's funny. It's really funny if you think about it. A couple guys with cell phone cameras has this whole place on the run. So when people say like, "Oh, you can't do much if you're just a one guy journalist," really, you had like these guys were on the run, and this guy was in hiding like a criminal.
Totally.
You know, you watched that movie, The Fugitive, with Dr. Richard Kimball. He's like running around. It's like McCabe was Richard Kimball. Yeah. He's running around. Yeah. Who knows what happened?
Activating agents all over the place. But Mike, I hate to cut you short because I know that every week at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday nights, you go on these awesome rants that people love to hear on patreon.com/truepundit and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. But I've got to reset the software and get ready for everybody to head over to those sites, patreon.com.
We've been breaking news on there too, man. We've been breaking news every week on there about the FBI and these
Yeah. So if people are normally watching more PAINE on patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, it's extremely important that they go to patreon.com/truepundit and support Mike and his team at True Pundit. You can also be sure to get your news from truepundit.com, always on the cutting edge with incredible information about the FBI. True Pundit has had some of the best sourced and most accurate information that the mainstream news is not even talking about in some cases until a year or more later. But I think everyone is going to be really excited to see this basically surveillance video of this McCabe compound in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I think we're going to continue to look into this thing because there are a lot of signs that there was some screwy business going on over there. So, Mike, I'll see you in just about 8 minutes on patreon.com/truepundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I want to thank all of our generous sponsors, and we'll see you there. Thanks, Mike. And thanks everybody for watching.